Dear audience, it's a pleasure for me to deliver this lecture, a modified Paris law approach to fatigue crack growth in cold-drawn pearlitic steel. In memoriam, the lecture is dedicated to the memory of Professor Pablo Lazarin and Professor Robert Goldstein. Index, outline, 1 introduction to experimental procedure, 3 experimental results, 4 fatigue crack paths, 5 modified Paris laws, 6 conclusions. First of all, the introduction. The aim of the work is to analyze the fatigue crack growth in two pearlitic steels with very different degrees of microstructural alignment, quite distant orientation microangles in relation to the y-axis, to ascertain the fatigue crack path as a function of the specific microarrangement of the ferrite cementite lamella, microstructural anisotropy. Experimental procedure material was an eutectoid pearlitic steel with chemical composition of 0.8% of carbon. We have a hot roll bar, not cold drawn, green color, and after 7 steps of cold drawing, a cold drawn steel with a cumulative plastic strain of 1.6. Mechanical properties of the hot roll bar, green color, and cold drawn wire, red-orange color. Stress strain curve. The hot roll bar has a yield strength of 700 megapascals, and the cold drawn wire, roughly speaking, 1500 megapascals, and the ultimate tensile strength, 1200 megapascals in the hot roll bar and 1800 megapascals of the cold drawn wire. Fatigue tests were performed following the procedure indicated in the slides with 10 Hz of frequency, a ratio equal to 0. And after this, metallographic analysis was performed by scanning electron microscopy. Experimental results: the microstructure of the hot roll bar is randomly oriented in both pearlitic colonies and lamella, randomly oriented microstructure, and in the cold drawn wire, we have a microstructure which is markedly oriented in the y-axis or cold drawing direction. The fractography of the hot roll bar, fatigue fracture surface for delta K 23 megapascals per square meter and delta K equal 46 megapascals per square meter. The fatigue surface exhibits ductile micro tears due to highly localized plastic strain. This is the hot roll bar, green color. In the cold drawn wire, orange-red color, for delta K 27 and 54 megapascals per square meter. The ductile micro tears are of a smaller size and with curved geometry than in the hot roll wire. Fatigue crack growth was evaluated by using the stress intensity factor solution proposed by Miguel Ángel Astiz in 1986. This is the solution with the coefficients of equation, and fatigue crack growth was monitored by a compliance method to evaluate the Paris law. These are the results of the Paris law, dAdn versus delta K for the hot roll bar, green color, and the cold drawn wire, orange-red color. The cold drawing process improves the fatigue behavior of eutectoid steel by retarding the cyclic crack growth rate on the Paris regime. These are the results of the Paris law coefficients C and M. The coefficient M, slope of the straight line, remains constant and thus independent of the drawing process, while the constant C decreases with the cold drawing. There is an improvement of fatigue behavior. What about fatigue crack paths? This is the fractometallography of the hot roll bar, green color, intermediate zone, and the crack tip. Crack is transcolonial and translamellar, tending to cross the colonies and to break the ferrite cementite lamella, showing very localized plastic damage. The cold drawn wire, orange-red color, for the intermediate zone and the crack tip, the crack propagation is tortuous with frequent deflections or changes in the direction of advance and evidence of branching, mainly bifurcations. These are the fatigue path roughness was evaluated in the hot roll bar, top of the slide, green color, and in the cold round wire at the bottom, orange-red color. The roughness of the hollow bar, green color, for delta K 15 and 40 megapascals per square meter, and in the cold round wire, orange, for 15 and 40 megapascals. The roughness increases with the stress intensity level, with the delta K, and the roughness also increases with the degree of cold drawing. Here we have an schematics of the micro crack path of the hollow bar, green color, left-hand side, and cold round wire, orange-red color, right-hand side. As the drawing degree rises, the micro deflection angle increases, the net fatigue fracture surface is higher, theta 7 is higher than theta 0 for 7 steps of cold drawing. The micro deflection angle increases, and on the other hand, the micro deflection length, the micro branch length, decreases with cold drawing. Then we have more angle deflections and more frequent micro deflections. This shape of the fatigue crack path has a consequence of the Paris law. We have to evaluate the projection of the real fatigue crack path on the horizontal direction, the global mode 1 propagation direction. After this, the actual fracture surface in the cold round wire is greater than that in the hot rolled bar. With these projections, then we propose a modified Paris law, considering the projection not the projection in the mode 1 global propagation direction, but the real fatigue crack length, the real fatigue crack advance. And with this correction, the two curves approach each other. And here we have the real, and in the previous one we had the modified and real. These are the modifies, considering the real crack length, the real crack advance, and these are the conventional Paris law. The resistance of cold round pearlitic steels to cyclic stresses can largely be attributed to the increase in the net fracture surface micro roughness. Then we propose, with this modified Paris law, the new coefficients of this modified Paris law, and the Paris coefficients, considering the real crack advance, CR and MR, are the same for both materials, hot rolled bar and cold round wire. Conclusions. Cold drawing of pearlitic steel improves its fatigue behavior and produces a crack growth retardation. The Paris curve of the cold round wire is parallel to that of the hot rolled bar, but is placed beneath it. The fatigue fracture surface of the drawn steels shows micro roughness with greater net surface than in the rolled material, due to the fact that the fatigue path deflections are more frequent and with greater angle. A modification of the Paris law was proposed in the paper, consisting of using the actual fatigue surface instead of the transverse projection of it. The global mode 1 advance is the conventional Paris law, and we propose using the real crack advance, considering the zigzag shape and the micro deflections with their angle. The corrected Paris curves of both steels become closer. This is the logo of the University of Salamanca, 800-year history, 12/18/2018, and again the logo with the beautiful old-fashioned letters, Universidad de Salamanca, University of Salamanca, Campus of International Excellence. This is the statue of Fray Luis de León, major Spanish poet and professor of the University of Salamanca, the statue with the facade, plateresco, a kind of Baroque Gothic. Baroque and Gothic are not the same style, architectural style. They seem to be contradictory, but a Baroque Gothic means a very ornamented Gothic. This is the teaching room of Fray Luis de León, decíamos ayer, as we were saying yesterday. In the wake of Fray Luis de León, as an epilogue, we are in the wake of Fray Luis de León, and in Spanish, y entrambas a porfía mezclan una dulcísima armonía. Ferrite cementite lamella. The fight between voices, counterpoint, generates the sweetest harmony in the same manner as the mixture between ferrite and cementite lamella makes a very noble material. Y entrambas a porfía mezclan una dulcísima armonía. Pearlitic steel, a combination, a sandwich, a laminate of ferrite and cementite lamella. It could be called a Fray Luis de León FLL-based material. And in the wake of Antonio Machado, caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar. Fatigue crack paths, se hace camino al andar. There is no previous path, but the path is made as the crack grows. Fatigue crack paths, the role of fatigue crack paths. Wakes in the sea, going further, Columbus going to America. Tomorrow is the anniversary of October 12, the discovery of a new world, great achievement. Flying Emirates, this is the partner of Real Madrid, 13 European Cups. Real Madrid, a club that, more than any other, weights its status only in silver and gold and measures itself in victories, in trophies, in glory. Rory Smith, The New York Times. I finish with this sentence, a la Madrid, Forza Real Madrid. Thank you very much for your kind attention.